Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my review of the MVP Disc Sports Trail. This is the 2021 World Champion Edition for James Conrad in the Neutron plastic. I tried my best to get a matching pair, but they're a few grams different. This one's 168, this one's 172. Slightly different color to the naked eye, but not really. Really popular disc. A lot of people are loving these, getting out there, throwing them, carrying them. They're very hype, and I'm happy to get something a bit more current posted here on the channel for review. I spent a lot of time focusing on smaller brands and discs you guys might not know about over the last couple years because those were the folks that I was working with and I was interested in that. But I'm happy to get something kind of, more hype posted for you guys that are interested in the newer stuff. I'm hoping to get back to doing a lot more of that this year. So, as I said, I have a pair here they're a few grams different, but overall they performed about the same. Flight numbers 10, 5, -1, and 1, and I pretty much feel like those are spot on. I feel like they could actually go a little bit more generous with the glide maybe and put a 6 there. I probably wouldn't argue with it. It has a nice float and has that MVP kind of forward pushing fade that I haven't seen in a driver for a long time. Way back in the day, I threw MVP drivers and I had an all MVP gyro bag for a little while, I think, or close to it. I used to throw the Volts, I used to throw the Inertias. They're both really great flyers, but I found them very inconsistent from disc to disc. So I don't have a ton of these to test to see how that works. But what I liked about them back in those days, and what I still like about them, is the fade doesn't really come off. It doesn't just hook up left. It continues to push forward during the fade portion of the flight, which stretches a little bit of extra distance and is usually a nice functional way for your golf shot to finish out there on the disc golf course. Now, a lot of the more recent drivers that I tested for MVP was years ago now. They were the high speeds, anything that's 13, 14 speed from MVP. Genuinely some of my least favorite discs on the market. I just didn't connect with any of those. So anything like, from the Volts to the Inertia to these trails that are 10 speed, I definitely can dig it. But yeah, it's been a while since I've tested MVP drivers, kind of because of that. But I'm happy I got out to try these, and they are very, very nice drivers, for sure. So you can see right there, it's this trail on the rim, which I've always liked. I didn't even see this previously. There's a little tiny James Conrad logo there. Gyro, of course, and what else? Anything else? Markings on here, PDJ approved. I realize they put so much markings on the gyro rim these days. That's interesting. I didn't even notice that during testing. Let's take a closer look at this rim design here, and you can see it's a pretty traditional rim shape. Nothing terribly remarkable to it. They both have a slight dome to them. They don't really pop per se, but they're not bored flat either. And the shoulder is quite rounded off, slopes down there, so it has a little bit more of a domey feel in the hand, but it's not a sharp design, and it is a very comfortable feel in the hand. All in all, I probably find the Gorgons to feel a bit better, but the trail definitely feels nice, and I had no issues gripping, throwing it the way I wanted to. Let's take a look at it next to a Gorgon real quick. This one here has more dome to it than the others. It's probably the most understable of the 4 that I tested, including the 2 trails, 2 Gorgons, but let's take a look at it side by side. This one's also 167. And if it'll focus, you can see that the Gorgon has a much more rounded, kind of blunt, soft edge there. You can see it a little bit better with my finger in focus there. Rounded, more blunt-edged, obviously no gyro rim there. All in all, throughout the testing, these were getting thrown next to each other, back to back, and during my first testing session, a couple of times, I have these so close in color that I have to slow the footage way down to determine which was which, because they perform very similarly. I would say the Gorgon, this one is a bit more flippy than the trails, but then I would say that my prototype one, flatter, a little bit heavier Gorgon, this one is a bit more overstable than the trails. So pretty much right, all in the same kind of ballpark, and it's just a difference in feels there. So let's take a look at another couple of 10 speeds while we have the opportunity. I actually have a few in stock now, which is not very common typically. Champion Orc, old school 10 speed. This one is quite overstable, actually, I would say. But these are pretty close in terms of the actual side-by-side design and comparison. Let's see if I can get focused any better with my hand in this new lighting situation. A little bit. There you get a little bit more of an idea. Quite similar though. But yeah, this old pre-flight Champion Orc feels great. Still quite overstable for my arm, that's for sure. And last but not least, the also phenomenal Yiquan Discs Ho Yi 10.6 -1.2. And I would say that's probably pretty spot on. That's why I was saying if the Trail had a 6 there, I wouldn't argue with it. But the Houyi, a little bit more fade, bit more stability overall, but also supremely neutral. Beautiful disc. These are quite flat top. Full review on this if you're interested. And if you've not tested any of these discs, they are really, really nice. Been a while since I've tested any MVP, so let's talk about the Neutron plastic. It has a very similar feel to the modern Star plastic. I wouldn't be that surprised if it's a similar source or whatever. It's got nice kind of bit of give to it, good grippy feel, quite shiny, has a nice tacky feel to it when you have a good grip on the disc. It kind of, yeah, grabs your thumb pretty good there. And all in all, I like the feel of it. Definitely no issues there. Very much on par with other premium plastics on the market. It's very similar, again, to the modern run Innova Star plastic, which is also fantastic. We talked about the flight numbers, the feel, all that kind of different stuff, and there's nothing left to do. But take a look at the rest of the flight footage and talk about the flight of this disc. Now, a couple things to keep in mind when you're taking a look at the rest of this flight footage. First of all, thank you once again to friend of the channel, Chelsea Taylor, for helping me out with this video. She met me out in the park the other day. Bear in mind, in all of that footage, it was like 30 degrees or less. We were in the shade, and we were throwing uphill pretty decent amounts. Now, the other footage with just me out there in the different field, I was actually throwing slightly downhill. So you're getting a little bit of a feel for the differences in there. So for her in the cold, and also with the speed and stability of the disc, throwing up the hill, across the board, the Trails and the Gorgons for her were pretty overstable. She'd have to kind of get them turned a little bit or make sure she hit them flat to get them to fly. Otherwise, they were fading out pretty early up the hill. Similar for me. If I didn't get them flat or over a little bit, they weren't flying very far up the hill. You know, it would kind of start to hook up a little bit too much. And yeah, I really liked that backdrop, and I thought it would be a nice shot, but I didn't really notice the slope there. So that's definitely something to consider. That being said, you're still going to see that it's a very neutral disc that overall will just hold the angles that I put it on. I've been able to throw it on turnover all the way, start to finish, without too much issue. You can hold a smooth hyzer. It flies excellent on those S-curves. If you're looking for a really nice disc, you can throw pretty flat to slight turn and let it really smoothly work out a big S-curve through the air. This is a fantastic flyer for that. And all in all, the word that kind of kept popping into my head when I threw this disc and examined the footage is smooth. It's a smooth flyer. Soft turns, soft fades, but it can do what you want it to do if you give it the angles. It's never going to be very dramatic, you know, it's not going to dump out fade on you at any point. So it's a really workable flyer. I really like the name and the whole concept with it as well, because, you know, if you're on a trail, you have to be adaptable and go with that trail depending on the shapes and the terrain that you're going to interact with. So I think that really ties together well. And all in all, there's really not much else to say other than the disc has awesome glide, and it's very controllable, very accurate, smooth, neutral flyer that flies pretty much dead on to the flight numbers. So if you've heard good things about this disc and you're looking to try one, I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. It's one that I will continue to test and mess around with in my own bag. And we'll see if it's in my next In the Bag video. Probably get one of those done sometime before spring once I dial in my 15 disc setup that I'll be playing with from now on. So that's it for this video. Much love to everybody out there. Thank you so much for your continued support of the channel. Thank you once again to Chelsea for helping me out with the video. I really appreciate it. And for being a good sport, making her throw uphill in such cold temperatures. We're going to get another filming session out here relatively soon with some other plastic, and hopefully in much better conditions. Also, quick shout out to the Disc Golf Depot. They did not provide these for the review, but I did go in there to buy them. I traded in some plastic. And as always, had a good time chatting with them, hanging out a little bit, and they had a nice selection of these in different colors and different weights for me to pick through, and pick the two that I wanted. So shout out to them as always. Much love to everybody who continues to support the channel, my Patreon support team, viewers, subscribers, friends. Talk to you guys later. Cheers.